box with dimensions of 10, 14, and 5 with wrapping paper. What is the least amount of wrapping paper she will need to cover the gift box without any overlapping? Okay, so with those dimensions, one, I know it's not a square, right? So it is telling me that it is a rectangular prism. So it would look something like that. Okay? So I'm going to say that this one is 14. I'm going to say that this one is 10. And that this right here would be 5. Now, is it to scale? Probably not. All right, so we have to remember that we are wrapping, right? So that means I need to find the area of each face. And remember, since it is a 3D object, I have a front and a back. So if this is my box, right, this would be the front, and then if I flip it around, this is my back. Reagan.
Is that in -5?
No, I meant to put a little arrow there so you knew that it goes with the height.
Oh, I'm so confused.
Yep, sorry, my bad. Okay? All right, so remember in a 3D object, we will have 2 of all of my faces. So I will have a front and a back. I will have a top and a bottom, and I will have a side and a side. Okay? The only time that will change is if they tell you that it's an open box, which then you would not have a top, you would only have a bottom. Okay? So you have to find the area of each face. So if I know that I have a front, we know the back is going to be the same. So that means the area is going to be a 14 times 5, right? 14 times 5, and then it's going to be multiplied by 2 because I have a front and a back. Okay? Then I'm going to look at my sides. So if this is 10 here, we know that this is 5 because it tells me that. So I would have a 10 times 5 times 2. And then I got to look at my top and my bottom. Right? So my top would be a 14. And I know that because of this. And then this dimension here would be a 10. So I would have a 10 by 14 times 2 because I have a top and a bottom. Okay? So if I took that box, I'm not done yet, but I want to show you something. So if I took that box and I cut it at its edges, it would give me a net that looks like this. So bases, front, back, and there's my sides. They call the top and bottom bases. I call it top and bottom. Okay? So that's a net. This is a net. So anytime I take a 3-dimensional figure and I open it up, it will give me a net. Okay? So some people find it easier to use a net. Some people find it easier to kind of just use the formula. I find it easier to use the formula because I've been doing it for years and I just know the formulas. Okay? So whatever's easier for you, then that's what you would do. Okay? Alright, so if we're going to find the area, we just multiply it out. So 14 times 5 is 70 times 2, so that is 140. And then my sides are 50 times 2, so that's 100. And then the top and bottom is 140, and then times 2 is 280. So we add them together. 280 plus 240 gives me 520 inches squared. So when we find surface area, because we're still finding area, my unit is still squared. The only time it will be cubed is if we're doing volume. Okay? All right, so that I kind of told you what the difference between surface area and area is, right? So area is just the face. So it's a 2D figure, where surface area is a 3D figure. So area of face, which is 2D, and this is area of entire figure, and that is considered to be 3D. So that's the main differences. All right, am I good? Can I flip it? Okay, I don't hear anything. All right, so we are looking at a box. I know you can't really tell that's a box because it looks like a big old black figure, but it is a box with a lid that is open. So it says a wooden toy box is represented by the net, which is here. Okay? So how many faces make up the toy box? So basically, a 3D figure should have 6 faces. Okay? And once again, as I said earlier, the only time that will change if it's an open box. Okay, and if it is like a hexagonal or a pentagonal, a triangular prism, then the amount of faces are different. But if it is a box, whether it's a rectangle or a square, you will always have 6 faces. Okay, so as we learned from the front, are any of the faces congruent? So what does congruent mean? Anybody know what congruent mean? We talked about it when we had adjacent angles. We talked about congruency. And we talked about it when we had vertical angles. Y'all are like brain dead today. So if something is congruent, it means they are the same. So as we discovered in the front, right, on the front item, we should have the back and the front should be the same. The base and the base should be the same. And the side and the sides should be the same. So when it says which ones, we're going to put the 2 sides, front and back, and the 2 bases. So those all should have the same area. All right, so C is pretty easy. What is the shape of the 2 bases? So what is my shape? Jameer, what's my shape? Yes, rectangle. I did hear someone say rectangle. Okay? So then it says, what is the combined area? So the first thing we need to know is What are the dimensions? So what are the dimensions of my base? An 18 by what?
By 35.
Yes, 18 by 35. And then they want combined area, right? So then I need to multiply it by 2. All right, so what's 18 times 35 times 2?
1,260.
Yes, and it is inches squared. All right, what about the front and the back?
Isn't it the same thing? But
Nope.
no, it's 15.
Yeah, instead of 18, it's 15.
15 by 35.
Yep, so 15 times 35 times 2. What do we get?
1,050. I mean 1,050.
Yep, 1,050 inches squared. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. What is the faces? So that would be the sides, right? Because we haven't done the sides.
18 by 15.
Yep. So 18 by 15 by 2. So what do we get?
540 or did I
Yep.
multiply wrong?
Nope. 540 inches squared. So we're going to find the surface area by adding it all together. So 1,260 plus 1,050 plus 540 gives me
2,850.
inches squared, right? Okay, so the formula. So the formula that we just used, right, is we used length times width times 2. Then we used 2 times, this is still L, right? Length times height. Then we did 2 times height and width. Okay? So that is the formula that I grew up with. Okay? That was the formula that I used. And that's the formula that I prefer to use all the time, but we'll get it the other way. Xander.
What happens if you just multiply it all by 2? Like, put it all together.
If you find the area of the bases, add it together, and then multiply by 2, that would work too.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So, the formula that they are going to give you on the FSA is the formula that we are fixing to derive. Okay? So what they are telling us to do is we're going to take the length and the width of the base. Okay? So it says, since LW is the area of a base, replace the L and W with a capital B, which basically means, so capital B means area of the base. That's what capital B means. Okay? So now we have 2 times the area of the base plus 2 times the length and the height plus 2 times the width and the height. Alright, so now it says both parts of the expression 2LW and 2WH contain an H. So factor out the H. So we're using the distributive property. We're reversing it. So that leaves me with L plus W. Okay? So, actually it leaves me with, 2L, 2W, my bad. So since 2L and 2W represent, so let's think about that. This is L, this is W, this is W, this is L. So if we think about perimeter, right, I have an L and an L, so that's where the 2L came from, and I have a W and a W, so that's where the 2W came from. So this part represents the perimeter. Of the base. Represents the perimeter of the base. So we're going to let that be P. So P is the perimeter. No! Ran out of ink. So perimeter of the base. That's what P equals. So the formula is 2 times the area of the base plus the perimeter of the base times the height. Okay? So let's go back. And I want to go back and look at this that we did up here, right? All right, so we knew that the base was 18 times 30. 35, sorry. Right? So just this part gives me 630. So if I use the equation 2b plus ph, we would still have to do the 2 times 630, but instead of multiplying this and this, all I have to do is add the perimeter of the base. So we know that the perimeter is 18, 18, 35, and 35. So if we add that together, I get 106, and then I multiply it by the height, which is 15. And we hopefully should get the same answer, right? So let's try it. So 630 times 2 we already know is 1260. So 106 times 15 is 1590. Do we get the same answer? We do. So 2850 inches squared. Okay? So I just wanted to kind of show you how to go back and use this formula with what we already did. Doesn't matter to me if you use this way, which is this equation right here, or you use this way. Okay? On the FSA, they are only going to give you this equation right here on the formula sheet. Okay? So that's why you need to know how to do it both ways. Reagan, question?
I need the standard.
Oh, the standard is 7G26.
Thanks.
Uh-huh. Okay? All right. So this formula becomes important when we look at this figure. Okay? So this figure is a hexagon, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is a hexagon, right? Is a hexagon prism. It's a pentagon? I can't hear you, Xander.
Pentagon is 6.
So hexagon is 5, right?
Wait, hold up. What did I say? I said hexagon is 6 and
Pentagon is 5?
5.
Okay, so it is a pentagonal prism. So usually on a pentagonal prism, they're going to give you the area of the base. So you won't have to calculate that at all. Okay? So, and I'm not worried about this part right here, guys. So we're going to put it into this equation that we have. So we know that the area of the base is 6.9, and we have two of them because it's a top and it's a bottom, right? So 2 times 6.9. Then we want to find the perimeter. Okay, well, one side length is 2. We have 5 sides, so my perimeter, no, hold on. We were supposed to do that up here. So this would be 2 times 5, which is 10. Okay, so we know that the perimeter is 10, and the height is 8. So then you just multiply. So 6.9 times 2 is 138, and 10 times 8 is 80, and then we just add it together, which is 93.8. Okay? Could we do it the other way that we did the cube or the rectangular prism? Absolutely. We could find the area of this rectangle, right? And multiply it by 5. And then add it to this right here. So we could do that. That would be a 2 times 8 times 5. Hold on a second. My phone's ringing. Hello? Hey. I'll have to think about that one because one, I'm in the middle of teaching this lesson real quick. That's okay. No, not 7th period. My advanced class is a module in front of the other class. That's okay. So let me think about it. Okay? All right. Bye. Okay, sorry guys. All right, so if we did it this way, we would get 16 times 5, which is 80. So you could do it that way. Find the area of the face and just multiply by the faces. Okay? But on the FSA, I keep saying on the FSA, this is what you're going to have. Okay? So if you can't remember the other way, at least remember this way. Reagan, you have another question?
I have a question. Like, you know how we're, like, getting the surface area of this?
Uh-huh.
Does the lid not, like, alter what we're doing?
Well, you know what? I thought the same thing. I was like, that's kind of weird because would we not wrap that? Technically, it should, but I don't know. It says treating the top surface as a flat and ignoring the spout. But yes, if we were going to wrap the spout, it would give me something different. Yes.
Okay, I was just wondering.
You are correct. All right. So I don't think we need to do the check understanding. Okay. I do want to give you as much time as possible to do the on your own. It is not very lengthy. But let me show you what I want you to, because once again, they put something on your own that we hadn't even looked at. So I want you guys to think of this triangular prism as like a teepee, right? Or what they call a tent. That's a triangle. Think of this part right here as the face. So this is the part that you climb into to get in. Okay? So then that is the face. That is the triangle. So if we're finding the area of the face, it would be a 12 by 8. Right? And then we have 2 of them. And remember, it's a triangle, so you would divide by 2. So that's the area of the face. Okay? I'm going to tell you that since this is a teepee, and all of my triangle sides are not equilateral, you need to find the perimeter. So you need to use this equation. Because if you find the area of the faces, not all the rectangles are the same, because this bottom is a 12 and not a 10. Okay, does that make sense? Yes, no?
Okay, but, so for the triangle area, we don't have to multiply by 2, basically.
Correct, because what happens to this?
It just, well,
It cancels, right? It goes away. So the area of the face is really what?
12 by 8, which is, yeah,
48,
Wait.
right? Oh, 46. Sorry, my bad. 46.
12 by 8?
Okay, 12 times 8. 96. Wow, I was way off. Sorry. Thank you. My brain's not functioning. 96. Okay? And then, what's the perimeter? 10 plus 10 plus 12. So what would that give me? 32, is that right?
32.
Yeah. And then the height would be what? 17. So that's what you're going to multiply and add together. Okay? That one was weird because it just looks, visually it looks funny. Okay? And then for 5, it's the same thing. It's a triangular, it's a tent. Or it's a teepee or something. Yeah, it's a tent. So same picture, just different faces. So if that's my triangle, I have a 5, and a 6. And the height of the triangle is 4. Right? And then if I was going to draw it, there's my tent. The length of that would be 7. Okay, so hopefully that kind of gives you a visual of what that looks like. Okay? But I'm here, so if you need, and we have 15 minutes, so if you need help, I'm here to help. Okay? So don't sit there and struggle and not get it right because you're afraid to ask. Ask, and we'll work it out together.
Can you go back down?
So Tyrone, the formula is this one. 2b plus p times h. Did you already finish it, Reagan?
Wait, on your own?
Yeah.
I was in the middle of working on it.
Okay. No, you need to stay on until you're actually done, okay?
Okay.
So Tyrone, it's the same thing that Xander just said. So since it's a triangle, you would divide by 2, but since we have 2 of them, you would multiply by 2 and it actually cancels it out. So it's the same thing up here. Since it's a triangle, it's going to cancel it out. Right? So we need to find the area of the base. So the area of the base is a 6 by 4. So technically it is times 2 because I have a front and a back, but because it's a triangle, I divide by 2. So what happens is those 2 cancel out. So the area of the front and the back triangle is 24.
So it would be like the base, and then it would be like 6 times 4 times 2, but divided by 2, and they cancel each other out?
Yes. So capital B, which is the area of the base, is 24.
I have finished the on your own.
Okay, where'd you finish it at?
Into math.
Okay, give me a second.
Is the on your own today's thing, or are we going to work on it again tomorrow?
We're not going to work on it again tomorrow. That's why if you need help, you need to ask today.
Okay.
Yeah, yesterday's, today's, and tomorrow are all a one-day lesson. Micah, you're good. Yes.
The number 5, I just really don't understand it. I know you just went over it, but I just don't get it.
Well, I'm not done with it yet.
Oh,
The only thing I found was the area of the base. Right? All I found was what the triangle was. Okay? So the triangle, so guys, worry about the triangle first. So what is the area of the front? So the area of the front is a 6 times 4 divided by 2, right?
yes.
Which is 12.
12.
Okay? Then I need to use my formula. 2b plus ph. So if b is 12, I have to multiply it by 2, which is
24.
24. Okay? So this part right here is 24. Okay? So the perimeter would be a 5 by 5 by 6. So what does that give me?
16.
Yep. And then my height is what?
7.
Yep. So multiply 16 times 7 and then add 24. Someone's at my door. I'll be back. Okay, so what do we get? Yes, P is perimeter, H is height. Yeah. Would you say 136?
Yes.
Oh, for 16 times 7? Yes, 136. My bad. Yes. I was looking at the wrong number. So it should be 136 inches squared. Because this right here gives me 112, right? So 112 plus 24. So yes, you are correct. Okay, so did that help everybody? That's fine, Xander. Graph paper is awesome for nets.
Can you zoom in on how you solve that so I can write that as an example?
So this was the face, right? That was the triangle face, which was 12. And then I substituted it into that equation. Okay, Tyrone?
Alright, thanks.
Uh-huh. It's funny because when I was in school and we were doing surface area, it was always 2 times the length times the width, 2 times the width times the height, and 2 times the whatever the other one is. Yeah. So now they're showing them, because I guess I haven't taught 7th grade in a while. They're making them use 2 times the area of the base plus the perimeter of the base times the height. I mean, it makes sense, but
I just think it's simple.
Yeah.
There are some aspects that I look at my kids and say, look, they're going to tell you to do it 5 different ways.
Right.
I'm telling you,
right.
Part over whole equals percent over 100. It's
Right.
not 7 different formulas. It's 7 different formulas based upon this one base.
Right.
If you know this, you know all 7.
But on the FSA, they're only giving them 2B plus pH on the formula sheet. They're not giving them the other way.
Yeah, I memorized it.
I know. Well, me too. But, you know, I'm telling the kids this, and I'm like, well, crap, if you can't remember to do it the other way, they're only going to give you this. So you really need to know it both ways. So,
Yeah.
oh well.